Welcome to another story made by Oracle One. The late afternoon sun filtered through the large glass windows of Eastwood Station, casting long, golden beams across the worn wooden floorboards. It was a place of comings and goings, of hurried goodbyes and hopeful reunions, but for those who knew where to look, it also held secrets whispered through time. On a quiet corner near Platform 3 stood the old Lost and Found booth, an unassuming wooden kiosk painted a peeling shade of forest green. To most, it was a place of forgotten gloves, lost umbrellas, and stray tickets. But to Clara, it was becoming something much more magical. Clara worked part-time at the bustling train station, assisting with managing lost items brought in by harried travelers and conscientious conductors. A petite woman in her late 20s with chestnut waves cascading past her shoulders and keen green eyes that missed nothing, Clara had quickly come to appreciate the stories behind each item that found its way to the booth. She often lingered as she catalogued the day's finds, imagining the lives intertwined with each glove or abandoned book. One rainy Tuesday, the monotony was unexpectedly stirred. Amid the usual assortment of lost belongings was a small leather-bound journal, deposited silently on the counter by an unfamiliar man. His dark coat was brushed with raindrops, and his ash-brown hair was damp as he glanced respectfully at Clara before disappearing into the crowd. Curious, Clara opened the journal. Its pages were filled not with prose but with delicate, meticulous sketches, intricate drawings of train stations from cities around the world, each accompanied by a short poem about loss and discovery. Tucked between the pages was a note, written in neat handwriting. To whoever finds this, I hope these sketches remind you that sometimes losing your way leads you exactly where you belong. The next day, an envelope appeared at the booth, addressed simply, to the keeper of memories. Inside was a pressed flower and a short poem on vellum, reading, "A fragile bloom, preserved in time, like stories found in yours and mine." Clara's heart fluttered. Was this a game? A connection forming across a distance? She glanced around the crowded station, but no one seemed to pay attention to the little booth beyond its function. Determined to reply, Clara scoured the supply closet and found an ornate brass key, old and tarnished, without any obvious place it might fit. Carefully, she wrapped it in a cloth embroidered with a tiny violet and left it on the counter with a note, "For the one who holds doors both closed and open." That evening, as twilight settled over the city, the man returned. This time, he lingered longer at the booth, their hands brushing as he reached to retrieve the key. He looked at Clara with a tentative smile, and she felt the thrum of something unnamed. "I'm Elias," he said softly. "I've been coming to this station for years, sketching places where travelers lose their way. You remind me of a kindred spirit." Clara smiled shyly, her cheeks flushing. "I'm Clara, and I think our stories just crossed tracks." From that day forward, the Lost and Found booth became their secret stage. Each afternoon, they exchanged carefully curated treasures, tickets to ephemeral concerts, old postcards with uncensored confessions, keys that opened imaginary doors, each item steeped in meaning only they could decipher. One treasured afternoon, Clara found nestled between a flurry of gloves a small music box. When wound, it played a haunting melody that stirred memories of a forgotten lullaby. Inside was a note, "For your nights when dreams are a haven." Touched deeply, Clara responded by leaving a simple, handwritten promise. "When winds blow cold, may this booth be our hearth." Their items were tendrils of whispered conversations, never spoken aloud but profoundly understood. Neither dared to meet openly, both afraid of shattering the delicate magic spun between them. After all, how could two disparate souls from different worlds truly find harmony beyond the language of lost things? But fate, as it always does, had its own plans. One blustery morning, as winter's breath began to frost the station windows, Elias arrived earlier than usual. The station was unusually quiet, the kind of stillness before a storm. Clara was arranging a set of vintage glasses when she noticed Elias standing nervously by the entrance. "I thought I might finally reveal the place behind the sketches," he said, gesturing to the journal resting on the counter. With delicate fingers, he opened its worn pages and pointed to a detailed drawing of an old, disused greenhouse near the city's outskirts. "I wanted to show you the real place that inspired the poems. Would you come with me? Just once?" Clara hesitated. Leaving the station, stepping out of the cocoon of safety into the unknown, it was terrifying. But the yearning to understand Elias's world, to step beyond the silent exchange of objects, overwhelmed her caution. "Let's find where lost things go," she whispered. Together, they boarded the slow tram out to the forgotten edges of the city. The greenhouse was a crumbling cathedral of glass and steel, filled with wild ivy and a patchwork of broken panes letting stray shafts of hazy light pour in. It smelled of earth and time, a place where memories seemed to settle like dust motes in the late afternoon air. Inside, Elias pulled from his coat a carefully wrapped bundle. It unfolded into a mosaic of tiny glass shards in blues and emeralds, shaped into the image of wings. "For you," he said, voice trembling slightly, "because you showed me how to find meaning in the lost and found." Clara's eyes shimmered as she unfolded her own parcel, a tattered scarf woven with threads of gold and silver. "And for you, a map of warmth when nights grow cold." For hours they talked between broken panes and hushed secrets, discovering the layers of each other like treasured books long overdue. The greenhouse, once abandoned, became a sanctuary of whispered laughter and tender confessions. Weeks passed, but their ritual never wavered. The lost and found booth remained their canvas, each item now a brushstroke painting a shared future. Station workers began to notice the subtle shift. Clara's cheeks brighter, Elias's eyes alight with a hint of joy. Passengers who lost items found themselves returning with gestures of friendship, their own stories interwoven into the tapestry. One snowy evening, as the station lights glimmered like distant stars, Elias left a final offering on the counter, a delicate silver locket engraved with the words, "For what we lose, we may find again." Inside was a photograph. Clara and Elias intertwined, their smiles unguarded beneath the rusted glass of the greenhouse. Clara's hands trembled as she held the locket close. She realized their silent dance of gifts had blossomed into a love that transcended the ordinary, a romance not born from grand declarations but from the quiet spaces where broken things are mended. She left her own token beside the locket, a tiny, folded map marking the station, the greenhouse, and a heart drawn carefully around them both. That evening, the lost and found booth was no longer a place of mere forgotten things, but a testament to two souls who found each other in the spaces between loss and hope, in the echo of footsteps and the language of treasured tokens. Eastwood Station moved on, restless and ever-changing, but the stories kept safe inside that green booth whispered still, of a man and woman who turned lost things into love, and found each other again, always. For more stories, like and subscribe.